Hello Jared and colleagues, welcome to EDFD546 Development and Learning Assessment 3 Response to Learning and Teaching episode. My name's David Burke, and as of the 29th of May 2017 I'm commencing my third week of practical experience placement. I'm currently undertaking my placement at a co-educational Catholic secondary school in Gold Coast, Queensland. What I've learnt from my teaching areas are actually legal studies and business, and what I've learnt from my short experience in teaching is that the classroom is very much like the stage. So on reflection, I'd have to say that my best performance thus far involved a Year 11 legal studies class. I loved every minute of it. Everything from the planning of it to the actual delivery of the lesson. It was such a rewarding experience. The verbal feedback that I received from the teacher of that class, who's an accomplished lawyer, commercial lawyer, and experienced teacher, was that it was an excellent class. So the QCAA syllabus provides that legal studies students need to learn criminal offences. So the background for the class is that they actually had knowledge of sources of criminal law, so such as case law, the criminal code, and they've obviously got an awareness of criminal offences, but the idea of the different types of assaults was a new topic to them. So the goal for the lesson that I was teaching was to provide them with knowledge and understanding of the elements that are required to be proven for each different type of assault offence, and understand what the penalties are for each of those offences. So I've learned, I could have obviously just stood up there and, lectured them, but I know from previous experience that probably wouldn't work. I've quickly learned that giving a 48-minute lecture is way too hard. That involves me doing all the work, whereas the students should actually be doing all the work. Resources, at this particular school that I'm placed, all of the students, or the proportion of students that are equipped with a laptop is 100%. Every single student has an Apple MacBook, and certainly a different time to when I was at school. But so what I did for this particular legal class was that I actually devised a hypothetical scenario, and so I typed up the scenario and some questions on a worksheet that they all completed in class. So I'll just show you that now. So here was actually the assault scenario that I printed out a worksheet for each student, and sort of the summary of the scenario there. You can see there is can you help Lewis? So then question 1 here, created a few lines there so that they can handwrite their responses. Question 2, question 3, question 4. So there were 4 questions there that the students had to complete in class. So that's how that was kind of the crux of it, I guess. So so what I did, I actually instructed students that they could use whatever means that they could to respond to the hypothetical questions. So students could they could work individually, they could work in small groups, they could use their laptops to research. However, ultimately it was up to each student to provide a response to the questions that was in their own words. So on reflection, I can see how the constructivism theories were used in my Year 11 Legal Studies class. So Bochner et al. 2010 defines constructivism as, quote, an explanation of learning that views itself as a self-regulated process that builds on learned existing knowledge and in which learners are active participants, end quote. So my lesson involved a combination of both psychological constructivism and social constructivism. So each learner was actually given a specific task and time frame to complete during the lesson. The fact that I allowed students to use whatever means available to them to source the answers places the onus back on the students to acquire knowledge and research skills as well. All I did was set a few boundaries, and the rest was really up to them. Some students were comfortable working quietly by themselves. Others found comfort socialising with their peers to find the answers. So during the lesson, there was I remember one particular bright young lady who asked, she basically raised her hand and asked me to answer the question for her, and I could have quite easily given her the answer. Instead, I used some restraint and simply responded something along the lines of, "Well, you tell me." And we immediately kind of smiled at one another. She knew what she had to do, but it was just a way of empowering her to construct her own knowledge and build her self-efficacy. So after a reasonable amount of time, students stopped working and we corrected the answers. Our students took turns to actually read a sentence of the scenario and then actually read out the question, and they were invited to provide their answers as well. So this basically provided a platform for the students to compare themselves to other students in the class and hopefully self-regulate their behaviour in a good way that allows them to learn and develop. So, and acquire new skills, of course. I was really impressed with some of the answers that students gave. They were quite sophisticated and they probably didn't need a lot of correction, but however, to effectively communicate the message, I used visual aids to help them actually see the answers as well as just hearing the answers. And I did that in the form of a PowerPoint presentation, which I'll show you now. So here's the PowerPoint presentation here. So we kind of went through the different types of assaults. So that's just the some of the elements of the assault, and there's some sources of criminal law there. Anyway, we won't go into the nitty-gritty of that. We don't need to go through all that now, but oops, just going back to the PowerPoint slides. So during obviously when I had the visual prompts on the board through the PowerPoint slides, I was able to invoke some higher order thinking by so getting students to think about things from a different perspective and scaffold on what they had just learned. So so referring to Bloom's taxonomy, students were able to extend on their existing knowledge and understand and evaluate the content from a different perspective. So engaging a diverse classroom, because the students were doing all the work, I was able to actually walk the room and provide valuable one-on-one feedback and praise. I was less focused on actually spitting out content and more focused on giving attention to those students in need, but also giving the more advanced students the trust and autonomy to work by themselves. So overall, in terms of the classroom management techniques, there was really only one occasion where I had to use low intervention approach, or a low intervention classroom management technique to correct some misbehaviour. But otherwise, the students seemed engaged. They seemed to know and have a good understanding of the offence and the elements of the offence after the lesson. So, as a plenary, I found a really useful website, a legal website, which had about a 5-minute narrated animation video, and it was really useful in terms of providing a précis for what they had just learned. So it was kind of a good way to finish the lesson. They just had that in their minds as they left the classroom. So, I guess I was pleased when a few days later I was on duty in the one of the courtyards at school, and one of the students from that lesson approached me and asked me as to whether or not I'd be teaching another legal studies class. So I found that, to be the ultimate compliment. All I can say is that the key to such a seamless lesson is preparation and planning, preparation and planning, preparation and planning. You can never do enough preparation and planning, that's for sure. So anyways, sorry I've prattled on a bit, but thanks for watching. Thank you.